What's up, Bay Area fans? This is the OurSF49ers podcast. We are excited. We're rolling out here a new show in August. We're working out some kinks and just getting some content out there. This is our first midweek show that we're doing. Just a real quick hitter. With me, as always, is the famous Raj. As always, I am Adam. Today we have our first guest. We always joke and say Raj is famous, but man, it doesn't get better, does it, Raj? Why don't you do the introduction, Raj?
We want to talk about famous, my man, Big Larry Kruger. What's up, man? Appreciate you dropping by. How you doing, man? Day one of training.
Oh, I'm doing great. As you can see, I'm a little sunburned.
Yeah,
I was out at camp today.
yeah,
But, every time I go to training camp, it reminds me how much I love camp and how much I love covering the 49ers. And today was the first day, and it was very fun. A lot of fun. Saw a lot of people I hadn't seen in a while. Saw a lot of good football. Most importantly, guys, we didn't see anybody go down with any kind of significant injury of any kind, and knock on wood for more of that. So yeah, it was great day in Santa Clara for sure. Except I probably should apply a little bit better
You need a
sunscreen.
hat
yeah.
like Raj.
Yeah, you got to bring.
I know,
I
seriously,
was there.
thinking about getting one of those big beach hats.
You should. Or like Mayoko, he always has like his big hat. You got to bring a hat. I learned that the hard
Yeah.
way. I get you get burned, man. So I bring
Oh,
sunscreen. Definitely, you got to bring it. It was fun today being at training camp. I definitely love the vibes there. It's always good times. I can't wait to be at the rest of them. So I'll have to see you and say what's up to you when I'm there. I didn't see it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't see you there, but a lot of stuff going on. I think everybody was just happy to see Trey Lance. All eyes on him. Everybody was rubbernecking the moment he came out. So I don't know. What was your takeaway today?
Well, I mean, the same takeaway I had in the mini camp, which is that the year that they gave Trey to redshirt was needed, and also, unfortunately, it gave us all way too much time to like discuss him, and he's progressing nicely. And this idea that Mike Silver and Colin Cowherd, two guys that have not been out to the facility,
Mm-hmm.
are talking about this guy's inaccuracy. It's like it's unfounded. I mean, I watched him throw pass after pass after pass. Didn't throw a lot of wobbles today. Ball came out clean, on time. I'm not saying Trey's not going to have bumps in the road, guys. I think we're all know enough about the NFL that the quarterback position is all about overcoming adversity, and he's going to face a lot of adversity. But he's totally equipped to handle it. He's worlds better than he was a year ago in his knowledge of the offense, the protections, the personnel. He just looks in total control, and I think I think he's going to have a really good year. I really do. I think it's more on Shanahan to determine if he's going to have that big year by just protecting him a little bit. Keep him on a pitch count, run the ball, play action pass off of it. I think Niner fans are going to be really, really excited by how much better Trey can run Kyle's offense than Garoppolo could run the exact same offense.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be efficient, dynamic. He can add the mobility, the deep pass. Once he kind of gets it all together, it's going to be a very fun offense. And like you said, he's coming in. He has a great head on his shoulders. Very humble young man. He's smart. He has he has that it factor. You see him out there. He looks so confident. He looks so happy today. The players kind of rallied around him in the huddle. Like he had command of it. And Jimmy Garoppolo being excused basically from camp with the last couple of days with Kyle saying, "Hey, this is Trey's team. They gave him the keys. They've committed to him. This is what he needs." That was a good move. I think they gave him the confidence he needs, and now he's a big man on campus. And I think that is the confidence builder he needed. Kyle Shanahan's trusting on him, kind of take away that control that we know that Shanahan usually has, that big control factor, but he's kind of given away, and he's like, "Hey, this is the Trey Lance era. Let's let him develop." And Jimmy's not even there to kind of stunt the growth like a lot of people in the offseason. Oh, Jimmy's going to be there. It's going to be awkward. Like you said, they love both quarterbacks are loved by the team, and now Trey Lance is getting his shot. He's calling his shot. He looks smooth today. You can see he's definitely improved. The release was quick. I saw a lot of tight spirals. I didn't see any wobbles. And I think you're right. He's going to have a great season because there's a great team around him. Just like Shanahan said the other day, he says in 2019, Jimmy came into this team with a great cast around him. You have Bosa, Warner, Trent Williams, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle. All these guys are going to help Trey Lance succeed. Forgot Juice. You got to add him there. So many great players. They're going to set him up for success. They're not going to want to fail, and they're going to make sure they lift Trey up. We've talked about this many times. Trey Lance is in the best situation out of any young quarterback I've seen in a long time. So it was great to see Trey out there. I mean, the media was buzzing around Trey today, so that was a good thing to see. And again, Jimmy Garoppolo, the writing on the wall. I don't know what's going to happen to him, but I think what Steve Young said a few weeks ago, where he says he thinks that he's going to ask for his release, I think that's very likely now with everything that's transpired.
We'll see. I mean, I kind of think that they've probably worked out some kind of a trade, or at least the parameters of a trade.
Hmm.
But if they haven't, they haven't. We're not talking about a significant, package of picks or anything. I think most people are thinking between a third and a fifth round pick is probably coming the Niners' way. I still think they'll wind up getting something, not because they need the pick, but because they want to determine where he's going as opposed to just allow him to go to Seattle. I don't think that's. I don't think they fear it, but I don't think they want it. And I think they're aware of how volatile that situation could potentially be. So I think they'll place him somewhere, and I would not be surprised if if they tell us afterwards, hey, we had 2 or 3 teams interested. The team that we sent him to offered us the least, but this was the deal we wanted to make, and just get down the road. But Jimmy, the thing about Trey is that Trey's not alone. He's got as you said, Raj. I mean, he's got a tremendous cast, and all he's really got to do is take care of the football and not make repeated mistakes. There's going to be a game where he turns it over a couple times, but I think Niner fans are going to be really, really pleased with his ability to run this offense, get the ball out of his hands into the hands of his playmakers, and you're going to love who this kid is. I think the Niners know that they got the right person, and now it's about refining the quarterback. They know the kid will do the work. They know he'll do the reps. They know that he's taken leadership of the room and that he's the right leader for their team. And he's going to put in the work, and guys are going to follow him because he's going to put in the work. But I think now it's just about turning him into, a better quarterback. It's a process.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. It's now he just has to go in there, put the work in, and everything will follow. You're right. He's gonna have some ups, some downs. There's gonna be some bad games. It's expected. I mean, even great players have bad games every day, but it's a matter of the team supporting him. How does he respond to those bad games and bad moments? He's gonna have a day, like you said, a lot of turnovers. How does he respond? And that's with everybody in the league. How do you respond to a bad moment? And again, I think he's in a great space. The coaching staff is great, and I think that is the key: is everybody's supporting him. As long as he has the support of his teammates and the coaches, he's gonna be fine. And again, the biggest thing with Trey is he's so hungry and he's such a good young man. Like the way he speaks and the way he carries himself, I can't speak about that enough. And the Niners, they always have these great character individuals, and Trey's no less than any of the other ones they have. So I'm expecting big things. I think the team, you shouldn't hold them to any lesser standards than they had the last few years. I still think that they're a dominating team that can go very far in the playoffs, and they should still have Super Bowl aspirations with this team. Just because you change the quarterback, I mean, again, look at the cast of characters on this team. It's so great. Some of the best players at their position with the quarterback that has the potential to be better than who you had. So I don't think that we should stop having those Super Bowl aspirations.
I agree.
Yeah, this training camp is going to answer a lot of questions that people are wondering about. One thing that I wanted to ask you guys as well was just some news and notes for today and the rest of the week. Can you talk about? I know you saw Kyle Juszczyk, he banged his knee. A couple guys are not around. They are excused. A couple of the big linemen. What did you see for the first day, and what are you expecting for the rest of the week?
Well, I mean, Juszczyk. I was standing right next to Juszczyk on the play on the sidelines. I think Warner was being incredibly aggressive, and he crowded him a little bit, and they did bang knees. I mean, that's kind of the nature of the problem when you go without pads. It's like everybody's going at a little bit different speed, and Fred Warner mixed it up with Ayuk, mixed it up with Juszczyk. He was yapping pretty good. It's just going to happen, as long as there's nothing serious structurally. I get you just have to consider yourself lucky. I mean, what stood out to me today was a couple things. One, Trey, but the second one was the 49ers have added three players that, as a result, will add a lot of speed to their offense, and that is Danny Gray, who, I think you could see him in the one-on-ones. I mean, he's really slippery getting off the jam.
Yeah.
He's not going to be an easy guy to jam at the line, and if you go hard to try to jam him and whiff, he's going to burn you for six.
Yeah.
So I think his quickness off the line, I thought in some of those drills was apparent. At the wide receiver position, he stood out. Ty Davis Price really stood out. I mean, he's 225 pounds. He looked like the fastest running back on the field. I mean, he looks like a crazy great athlete. Like I think Ty Davis Price is like clearly the number one back that I saw out there today.
Yeah.
And then the other guy that I think is really going to be a sleeper at the cutdown, and he adds a lot of speed at wide receiver, is Jordan Matthews, who was a receiver who then tried to transition to tight end, but he still weighed about 220. Then, this year he's put on about 15, 18 pounds. I would say he's 235, 240, but he still moves well. And I think Jordan Matthews is going to give Dwelly a major run for one of those tight end spots. So I think those three weapons all add some speed to the Niners.
Yeah, I agree. I was impressed with Jordan Matthews today. That was my biggest Like, out of all the people that I was surprised, I saw the touchdown. Purdy threw him. It was a dime. I was like, whoa, Matthews got some wiggle to him. He has some speed. If there's any time he's going to make this roster as a tight end, this might be the year, because I think he's really going to press these tight ends that they have, and he might make this roster. And this might be the year he actually sticks on the roster. Who knows? He's definitely chiseled his body. He's transformed himself from what he was a couple years back. So it was nice to see that. I agree with Ty Davis Price. He's gonna be hard to tackle, man. This guy was just zooming. He had the best run of the day. I know Elijah Mitchell had the most runs, most carries, but TDP was sneaky out there. I think he could be somebody. But again, it's the first day. You take everything with a grain of salt. Pads don't come on yet, so we have to see how things go when the pads come on. But I agree, that was nice to see. Nate Sudfeld against the backups, he looked pretty good. It looks like he's got the control for backup quarterback, but it was nice. It's weird to see this year all three quarterbacks are transformed from what we had, in years past. Mullins, Beathard, Jimmy. Now you have Trey, Sudfeld, and Purdy. It's a whole different quarterback room, different dynamic. But I liked what I saw today. And then going into today, we had a big breaking news. It was D Ford, right? He got released, cut him. That was monumental news today. He's been on this team. Was he ever going to stay healthy? Was he going to be able to contribute? And because he was never available, he was taking up cap space, and it was kind of a unfortunate situation. When he was on the field, everybody saw, oh yeah, he's great on the pass rush, but that was the problem.
Yeah.
He was never on there, and cut him. They saved a little money on cap space, but they ate a lot in dead space. So at this point, they had to cut their ties. That was definitely a big move, but it segues to the new era. You got Drake Jackson, who they drafted. Now he's going to get his chance to get developed. You have, Samson Ebicam. You got Kerry Hyder. A lot of depth on this line. The writing was on the wall. We all knew Drake or D Ford would get cut, but that was pretty much a big deal to me today. I was like, wow, they finally got rid of him, because I didn't think they'd ever do it, because they always said, yeah, we're gonna cut him, and finally today it was part of their ways. It was kind of shocking, in a way.
It was a disappointing trade. I mean, trading a second round pick for an older player, having that older player have one good year, you go to the Super Bowl, then having him get hurt.
Yeah.
I saw the vision for it, but Disappointing, really. I mean, D Ford was, he had that one good year. He's a tremendous football player when he's getting off the ball, staying on the right side of the ball and not being jumping off sides and just staying healthy. But his body betrayed him, and he couldn't get out there. And now that they're real deep on that defensive end spot. I mean, you mentioned Ebukam. There's Kamoko Ture.
Mm-hmm.
There's Jordan Willis. There's Drake Jackson. I didn't get a chance to see. I'm going to hone in tomorrow on Drake Jackson, but didn't get a chance to see too much of Jackson today. But he was the guy that kind of concerns me, to be honest, because I was expecting him to be lean and mean and really fast off the edge, and I saw kind of a he didn't wasn't lean and mean. He looks like he's 270. At minicamp, he looked more like 270, and it's just I don't know. I know he played freshman year around 275, but I like him way more at 255 than I do at 275. So we'll see. I won't. I'll hold off reservation. The one thing about football, you can't judge minicamp. You
Mm-hmm.
can't really judge training camp without pads. It's hard to judge training camp with pads. To me, the first time that you can, I think, really make concrete evaluations is the preseason. And a lot of people think you can't make evaluations in the preseason, but I think when you're in the preseason and the pads are on, what these guys do in the game matters, and I think you can. I think jobs will be there to be won. The other thing that really jumped out to me today, guys, was Brock Purdy is, in my opinion, going to beat out Sudfeld. I think Purdy. I've watched Purdy now in multiple practices. He looks like one of the most accurate quarterbacks I've seen. I mean, he just throws. He just splits
Yeah.
the numbers, man. Everything comes out on time. Everything's between the numbers. Um, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he has delinquent arm strength, maybe or deficient arm strength. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not. Maybe
Arm
it's more like,
fatigue.
yeah,
How's
no,
his
but arm
fatigue?
fatigue. Maybe he's more like a Nick Mullins arm. But to me, he looks like he's got a better arm than Mullins, and he's deadly accurate. And he had great numbers at Iowa State. So I'm really eager to see Purdy because I'm pretty convinced he's going to beat out Sudfeld, despite the financial commitment the team made to Sudfeld.
I mean, it's possible. And like I said, this whole quarterback room is transformed. So it is a battle for that backup spot. And early on, they both definitely had their moments again. And you're right. Purdy had some nice, like, I was impressed. I actually was just like, wow, this guy has some dimes today. And I think that if he continues that, they might be pressed to keep him as that backup. But I mean, definitely transformed room. One guy that really impressed me and stood out today, Emmanuel Mosley. He's in a contract year. The two big incompletions that Trey had today, they were both pass breakups by E-Man. He had one pass to Jennings, and then the other one to was it Taser Mack or who did he throw it to? Man, I can't remember the other one he passed it to, but two pass breakups. One of them should have been an interception, and I mean he was moving well. They didn't even throw to Charvarius Ward. Those two guys had Jennings and Ayuk and anybody else that was out there just clamped up. I really am impressed with this secondary room, and I think that we're going to have a very, very um, improved secondary. I'm so happy about this. We talked about this last time, Larry, how happy I am about this secondary room compared to last year. Even Hufunga looked good. He just looked like he was ready for the moment. He looked bigger this year. He put on a lot of muscle. He was moving well towards the ball. Him and Jimmy seemed to have a good connection out there, Jimmy Ward. So I was happy with the secondary. But E-Man really impressed me today. He was probably my favorite on the defense, maybe other than Art Armstead, who was dominating all the backup. But E-Man, he looked good today.
Oh, he's solid. I mean, he's one of the longest tenured 49ers. He talked to us afterwards in the media room, and he's just very focused. He mentioned after practice that he was impressed. Now we're talking about Emmanuel Mosley with
Mm-hmm.
Samuel Womack.
Mm.
And I think Womack is a guy all 49er fans ought to keep their eye on. I mean, he's got a swagger to him. He looks like he's a young player, but it sounds like they're interested in maybe playing him as the nickel, and that would be interesting because usually that's a position that goes to the veteran. But Womack, if he can handle that two-way break and handle that nickel position, that's going to help them because that's going to allow Mosley to consistently play outside. opposite Charvarius, and then that gives more competition for Verrett and Lenore and Ambry Thomas, and just so I mean, I kind of like the idea of Womack playing that nickel.
Yeah, I do too. He was pretty much lined up all day at the nickel. I saw him there. He looked pretty quick with it. I was watching him a lot. I was watching the secondary a lot today. Darkest Denard, I think, was taking those first team reps at nickel primarily. I know he did that in OTAs too. So I think he's probably got the odds on favorite. But everybody I've talked to, I've heard a lot of people talk good things about Womack. And I feel like they drafted him to be the next Kwan Williams. Maybe he's kind of got the same build as him. He's got that aggressive streak to him, like K1 had. I think he could be the future in the nickel. And you're right. If you have a guy like that who's young, you can rotate, Jason Verrett and Emmanuel Mosley on the outside, and that's a great problem to have. Who are you going to
Yeah.
throw out? So definitely improved secondary. I was happy to see that today. And again, Emmanuel Mosley in contract year, bring it. He's going to try to get those numbers up so he can get that money. So definitely nice to see. And last takeaway, pretty much, we got to talk about it. It was Debo Samuel, right? Got to address the elephant in the room. He was there, didn't practice. He was holding in, right, with the new collective bargaining agreement. That's the way it works. But the body language was good. He was running on the field for like 30 minutes. Did some individual stuff with his trainers. He seemed pretty engaged with the players on the sidelines, talking a lot. Trey came up and hugged him. It was a good vibe I got from Debo. I think that everything is pointing towards them getting in a contract extension signed. Kyle Shanahan mentioned it all week. He's said the same thing. Talks are good. Talks are good. Lynch reiterated it. So I think his body language kind of reciprocates basically what they've been saying all week, and it was good to see him. I think that was a positive. The fact that he was out there and running as much as he did, and he wasn't kind of like dejected. He was paying attention and having a good time with the players. I think that's a good sign. I think Debo will sign shortly here, and I don't think it's going to become new. But yeah, definitely a story to talk about because everybody wants to know when Debo is going to get extended, but I think there's nothing to worry about.
I agree, and the thing about Debo, there were people. No, I didn't get a good look at him at minicamp, but there were people that were saying that him and Ayuk both were not in ideal shape. So to me, the very first day of training camp, there's not a lot you can get out of it. Some of it that you can get out of it is do you see anybody who either shows up way out of shape or in tremendous shape? And I thought looking at Debo, I thought he looked like he was in phenomenal shape. Now we'll see when he's out there doing the reps, but I thought
Mhm.
he looked lean and mean, and that was a concern that I had too. That how much would he work in an off season where maybe the contract, you know, took away his motivation at times. But I thought both Ayuk and Debo looked like they were in phenomenal shape, specifically Debo.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see him out there. They'll get it done. But this thing has to, we all know it's the Garoppolo whatever has to happen before the Debo whatever. So it's going to Garoppolo will be dealt with before Debo because
Oh,
that money that that the Niners are taking from Garoppolo is going to go to Debo. So I think everybody knows that, and it's like as far as I'm concerned, when you have guys like Debo Samuel and you look at who just won the Super Bowl, it was the Rams. And the Rams, what do the Rams do? They don't play any of their guys at all in the preseason.
yeah.
So it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I don't mind it at all if Debo is kind of a non-factor during camp. He's proven. He's a proven entity. He's one of the NFL's best weapons.
Yeah.
And I don't need him out there more than a cameo in the preseason. He's in shape. He's got a great attitude. He's ready to roll. He's a true warrior,
Yeah.
and bring it on. But if he doesn't, I don't need him to get reps. There's a
Yeah.
lot of good wide receivers in this camp. Let's give those guys the reps and just trust that Debo is the same Debo that we saw last year, and dust him off a little bit in the preseason, but get him ready for Week 1.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's the type of guy when Sunday comes, he's going to lace it up and go and give his best shot on the field. The offense is pretty much ran through him. He's one of the keys to this offense. I don't think he needs the training. I think he just needs to make sure he's conditioned, gets out there. And I would like to see other guys like Ray and Jennings and Danny Gray get their reps, and just make sure Debo's happy, make sure he's healthy, and I think everything will fall out. Again, he's not a guy that you need to go out there and does he know how to run the route tree? Debo's Debo. He's a superstar. He's gonna be fine. So
Yeah.
I agree with that take. At the end of the day, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think what Kyle Shanahan and Lynch have been telling us, I think is truth. They haven't really deviated from anything they've said this whole offseason. They've pretty much told us, and most of it has been coming to fruition so far. So I don't have any issues with how the whole situation's panned out. I mean, I know fans are upset because they want it to happen like ASAP, but the Niners, they do their due diligence. They take their time. Whatever is going on behind the scenes, I'm sure they're figuring it out, and it'll work out. And again, the biggest thing I like about this offseason is we're coming in with really no injuries. I mean, there's some few minor ones here and there, but we're relatively healthy. Everybody's happy. The vibes are up. The energy's great. We have a new quarterback here. Things are looking up. The Javon Kinlaw was back today. Mike McGlinchey was back today. Two big injuries. They were out there just to see him out there and looking pretty fresh and spry and happy to be there was a great sign to me. So just having everybody there for the most part was the biggest win of the day. So it was nice.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, well, boys, we got a long way to go. First day of camp. Larry, we'll get you out on this. What is your one of your favorite 49er memories? I know that a billion will come to mind, but give us a random one that just comes to your mind that you can share with us.
Well, a buddy of mine lived in Dallas, and he was a big Cowboy fan, and he told me in
I like where the story's going already.
1995, and he's like, you gotta come out. Niners are playing in Dallas this year, and we had a big bet on the '94 NFC Championship game, and of course we all know the Niners won the '94 NFC Championship game, and so he paid me a big amount of money, and he's like, hey, I want you to use some of that money and fly out to Dallas. Niners play in November out in Dallas. Come out, we'll buy tickets. We'll go to the game. We'll hang out all weekend, party in Dallas. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. And I was like 25, and so I flew out to Dallas. Now, at that point, Steve Young got hurt. Steve Young had been hurt, and the 49ers rolled into that Dallas game with Gerback at quarterback. They were 13.5-point underdogs. So I go out Friday night and Saturday night in Dallas with my buddy Pete, all of his friends, and I knew that it was going to be a gigantic, we're going to kick your ass, we're going to kick your ass. And so I'm sitting there and I'm trying to debate. Am I just going to say, yeah, 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 you guys are going to kick our ass, we got Gerback and this and that?
Or you're going to
Or
fight
am I
back.
going to say, am I going to go the other way, right? So I said, you know what?
You didn't know at this
So I'm
point.
like, you know what? I can't go 2 whole freaking nights saying you guys are going to kick our ass. That's just not the way I'm built. So I go, you know what? That's it. I'm just going to go, and from the second I get off the airplane, I'm just going to insist that Gerback or no Gerback, the champs are in town, and we've come for some cowboy ass,
Let's go.
and so I'm talking tons of shit to my buddy and his friends all weekend long, thinking that we're gonna get destroyed. So
Man.
day of the game Sunday morning, go have breakfast at this place called Papados, killer seafood emporium, gigantic place. Then we wound up paying like $395 for tickets because we didn't have tickets, so we had to buy them at the last second, and we couldn't find. We had to buy them. We bought the best tickets we could find. At that point, 1995, that was probably easily the most I'd ever spent on a sporting event. $395. Walk in. Gerback hits Rice on a short slant.
On the slant.
He's gone. Touchdown Niners.
Gone. That was the cover of Sports Illustrated. That made the cover of
Next
Sports
series,
Illustrated.
Ricky Jackson gets in the backfield, bothers Aikman. He throws the pick to Mert. Mert goes into the end zone, pick 6. And he starts doing the chicken dance. And then I'll never forget it. It was right before the end of the first half. 49ers are up 24-7, I think. And Gerback finds Derek LaVille underneath, and he high steps it into the end zone like Dion like. And Dion was a Cowboy at that point.
Yeah.
He high steps it into the end zone to make it 31-7. And I just turned around to my section at Texas Stadium, and I got the Niner hat, I got the Niner shirt. And I'm just like, ball game, go home, bye-bye. Champs are in town.
What a
Champs
feeling.
in town.
I
Oh my god! I
Oh.
got people throwing beer. I got peanuts. I got all kinds of people throwing stuff at me. That
oh man.
was one of the most enjoyable sporting events of my life. Just to go there, and Cowboys, as you guys remember, won the Super Bowl. That was Switzer's Super. They rebounded that year, and they came back and beat the Steelers, I think, in the desert for the Super Bowl. But I think Green Bay might have knocked off the Niners. But man, that day in November, it was. I mean, beating Dallas at that point in history. I mean, you guys know. I mean, Dallas owned the Niners 92, 93. Niners got them in 94. This is 95. This is right in the middle of like Niners Cowboys heyday. And to go in there as 13-point dogs and slap them around,
That's
it
amazing.
was so enjoyable. And then I can still remember the next week we went to Niners go to Miami on a Monday night, and Bryant Young just dominated up front, and it was jailbreak on Marino, and the Niners crushed the Dolphins, and it was just a great 2-week run. But yeah, that Cowboy game at Texas Stadium, nothing like it, man.
Yeah.
That takes the cake. What I like is you had that story. I didn't tell you that I was going to ask you this, and you just like had it ready. Like, is there a teleprompter there? Like, you had it
Yeah,
ready to go.
it's funny. I've been telling that story
love
for a
it.
while because it's one of my greatest sporting events.
Yeah.
Because I one time spent like $700 on Giants baseball tickets at Coors Field, and
Oh.
the game went 4 innings and it got suspended.
Oh
And
my.
like I basically it was like made up in September, and we weren't even in town. And so I've had events where I've blown cash, and it sucks. And if you're going to pay big money, you want to see a great show. And I paid big money, and I saw the greatest show.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Yeah. Again, that's a memory you'll never forget. Those are the type of games that live on forever. Especially Niners Cowboys. It's great to walk into Dallas and beating them as a Niner
Yeah,
fan. So love the story. Great. Thanks for sharing, man. Yeah, this was fun, man. We got to keep doing it again. We got to keep rolling.
absolutely, man. Well, always love rapping Niner football. And anytime, I don't know how much. Do you go to camp the entire camp, Raj, or are you?
Yeah, every day except tomorrow. Tomorrow's the only day I'm not going to be there.
Okay, well, anytime you want to wrap Niners preseason, regular season, I'd love to have you on a regular basis on my Niner post game. We're still kind of ironing out the details, but you're on my list of guys that I want,
Yep.
and the voice of the fan, and I just I love your perspective. So maybe we can make that happen. If
Yeah,
not regular every Sunday, maybe certain Sundays, but we'd love to have you, man.
definitely, man. You got my information. Just
Yeah,
chat. I'll probably see you in the next couple days. I'll
yeah.
say what's. Make sure you wear your sunscreen this time and bring a hat.
Jesus, I know. Seriously, some
Something.
guy came up to me. Are you Grant Cohn? I'm like, hey, no, I'm not Grant Cohn.
Um,
Today, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the hat tomorrow because I mean,
you're gonna
I'm
look
sitting
like
in a dark room, but I'm like beat red right now.
yeah.
Raj's red hat is not as red as my forehead right now.
Your look like his shirt.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right. Well, hey, guys, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Apple. We are on Spotify. We are going to drop in August. So thanks again to Larry. This is not the only time that you will be on the show, so we thank you for that. Raj, good to talk to you. We will catch up with you guys soon. This is our SF49ers.
take care.
We're
guys.
out of here.